Welcome to Wild Wellness Week's Week 2, Playful with Pilates. I'm Leah Matthews, and I will be guiding you through a few easy exercises that you can do at home. Pilates oftentimes is seen as something that's very expensive or exclusive and not available or applicable to the general population. However, you can purchase very inexpensive things or use things that you may already have in your home in order to replicate these exercises. I have a yoga block, and you can also use a child's ball if you have one in lieu of this. And I also have a rubber resistance strap that you can get at most discounts or department stores. So we're starting on the floor, and I am having my feet, knees, and hips in line, and my hands interlaced behind my head. I'm going to lift my elbows slightly so I can see them in the corners of my eyes. I'm going to pull my navel back towards my spine, and as I breathe out, lift my head and the tips of the shoulders off the floor. As I breathe in, I lower down. Exhale to lift, and inhale to lower. I want to make sure that I'm dropping the tailbone down into the mat, pulling the pelvic muscles in and up, and keeping this space between the chin and my chest. So not allowing the chin to come too far in, but using just below the bottom rib as my movement point. I'm going to add my block to make this a little bit more difficult. And in squeezing the block, I'm going to activate my inner thigh muscles, and I'm really pulling everything in and up. You can hear it in my voice as I move. This is how much I'm activating my abdominal muscle complex. So you can do between 8 and 15 repetitions of these. Next, I'm going to bring my arms out to the sides a bit like I'm making a snow angel. And I'm going to take my feet off the floor. So I'm making a 90-degree angle, making half of a square. As I breathe in, I'm going to extend my legs out to a diagonal line. And as I breathe out, I'm going to pull my knees back in line with my hips and find this right angle again. Breathing in to go out, and breathing out to come in. And I want to try my very best to only be using the hip joint and the knee joint. So my arms, my shoulders, and my lower back is pressing down into the mat. And I'm keeping my tailbone dropped and my spine in a nice natural, neutral position. We can put these two movements together. Coming up, extending out, pulling in, and lowering down, up, out, in, and down. And I want to connect my breath to this movement as well. So as I come up, I'm exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, and inhaling. It's very important to think about your breathing when you do this abdominal work, because as we breathe out, our diaphragm moves up inside the body, and that gives you a little bit more space to fold your torso towards your legs or your legs towards your torso inside the body. You can make this movement a little more difficult by giving yourself a block or a ball to squeeze. So again, I'm using my inner thighs here. And I don't want to let the block fall down. I can also make this movement more difficult by moving into a two-legged variation. So I'm splitting up the movement, right side, left side, down and up. As you do this, you'll notice when your right leg goes out, the left side of the stomach engages more, and as the left side goes out, the right side of the stomach engages more. Which means when you're using one side of your body, one side of the torso engages to stabilize. So if you, for instance, always carry your child on one side or a big heavy purse on one side, that means the opposite side of your stomach is going to be stronger. And you might want to focus on switching that around in your daily life, or focusing on one side a little bit more than the other in order to balance that out. So as you can see, you can play around with all of these movements and kind of figure out for yourself what may work for you. So next we're going to use our faux Pilates reformer, and I have my resistance strap here, and I'm going to loop it around my very sturdy wooden dresser. And you have to be very mindful about what you decide to loop this around. It has to be able to support you pulling against it. So at least your own body weight. So I'm starting with the very first movement that I did, head float. I'm pulling my shoulders down. My lats are engaged. My lats are the big muscles that run down either side of my back. As I breathe out, I'm pulling the belly in, lifting the head up. And as I breathe in, I'm lowering down. Again, I'm in a nice neutral spine. I'm not tucking the tailbone under. And I'm not arching the back and letting my rib cage open up on the way down. But everything is controlled, pulling in and up. And then I move into my 4-count movement. Up for 1, out for 2, in for 3, and down for 4. So as you can see, you can make this small apparatus into something that people pay a lot of money to purchase or use. Joseph Pilates created the first Pilates apparatuses off of hospital beds when he was in a war hospital in World War II. So they were not very first machines that were created for thousands of dollars that people pay for them. Now there are hospital springs and pulleys that he created to help soldiers be able to move around and stay healthy while they were bedridden. Good. So once you have these basic movements down, you can kind of play around with it a little bit more and figure out different ways of moving and utilizing this resistance. I'm switching to a heel tap and lift. You can also do this single leg as well. Or straight legs. There's lots of different possibilities, lots of different options, and use your imaginations and have fun. Thanks for joining us.